Alright, today what I'm working on is I'm putting a 10-inch DVD player slash screen in my 2000 Ford Excursion. The Ford Excursion came originally from the factory with a VHS player. The VHS is under the seat and the screen was in the ceiling. So eliminating the VHS player from under the seat and taking out the smaller screen. I think it's a 5-inch or something like that, or maybe a 7-inch. Much smaller screen out of the ceiling. So these are the tools you really need for the whole thing. So we got the DVD player I got for 99 bucks on eBay. Some luan, I'll show you what that's for. It's pretty simple. Some screws, some small ones and some long ones. Well, actually I got 6 small ones and 4 long ones, sorry. Tape measure, Phillips head screwdriver. This is an old piece of my Husky floor mat. I'll show you what I use that for, to make it all look proper when it's all done. And a Phillips head screwdriver slash drill and a circular saw to cut the wood. So inside the vehicle, I've already taken the couple screws down that, you know, now I got this big gaping hole in my ceiling with the wires from everything hanging out. So the one thing that I lucked out on is the DVD player I bought was out of a, I think it was a 2010 Lincoln Navigator. And the reason I say I lucked out is the plug for the wiring harness. Now granted, the older system has, you know, some other S-video and a regular composite or whatever, AV, whatever it is. It's a cable hookup coming from, the cable hookups coming from the actual VHS from underneath the seat. You know, there's power and all this stuff, but this all comes to this plug. Now really in this plug, after checking the factory wiring harness, there was 2 wires that had to be flipped in here. I seem to remember say it was this white and this red one here that you see. This there's a small, if my camera will focus, small white and red right there. These 2 had to be flipped to the opposite positions. It was, say, red on one side and white on the other. It had to go from red to white to red. But I lucked out because this plug from the 2000 Ford Excursion is the same exact plug that was used in the DVD player from the 2010 Navigator. So that made it easy. But checking the wiring is exactly the same, except for those 2 wires had to be switched. So you had to go in with a little tiny pin and release the little tabs and slide it out, and then switch them and push them back in, you know. So so next is putting it up in the ceiling here. Now, I mean, this whole thing is just like a soft material. So, and you know, my first attempt at this was I just ran some screws right through, and you know, after about a month, the whole player just kind of, the weight of it went and just pulled out. So today is going to be installing it so it doesn't come down again. You know, the system works perfectly. It just needs to be put up there correctly, because the old one, the screws went in here because it's much smaller, and there's actually, I think, wood in behind this to catch the old one. So today I'm going to put some more wood in here, attach it to the old mount, and then I'm going to use and put the new player up in place. In the Excursion, they hid the VHS player underneath the seat. You know, it's not really hidden, it's just underneath the seat, so let's see it. Ooh, what a dinosaur. So that's coming out. The first thing I did was basically guesstimating the approximate size piece of wood that I need in here. You know, bottom's out on one side, and it's you know, around 10.5 or so inches here, but up further in the front, you know, you can put as long as you want. So really, I'm maybe like a 12-inch piece or something. So cut the wood, and then we'll get to installing it. All right, so what I'm showing you here is this up in here is the roof, but we're like 1.5 inches or so from the roof. Underneath here is the plastic Yeah, I thought it was wood, but it's actually plastic. Maybe it's composite. I don't know. That's what it was. The old player was mounted into. So the wood that I'm putting into this space is going to get screwed into there, you know, in the front and in the back here. So just got to make sure we get it into the plastic, not into these holes or something. So now for this part, I cut the first piece of wood, I cut it to 12 inches, and then the second piece of wood, I cut it to 9 inches. It's 1/4 inch luan underlayment for my house, but you know, the first piece you can actually just, because there's so much room to put it up in, you can just slide it up in, and you know, a few screws, it'll be up in there. Second piece, you got to put it in like this way and turn it into place. So that's the reason why I have it as 2 pieces of wood, so you can actually put it up in there. If it was a big square, you wouldn't get it in there. So now I'm going to run some screws up and through it, and that should be it. Now we get ready to mount the DVD player up in there. All right, so now I'm putting in the pieces of luan and getting them into the approximate position, and without running the screws right up and out through my roof. Still. Can't win in this vehicle here. Let's try this one. It's not funny. Alright, now, that didn't hold because it didn't make it through. So I'm gonna have to take them back out. So let's try a pre-drill. Okay, so now I'm gonna try, let's take this back out. You can see where my holes were. I'm gonna try and get it through now. What's happening is the plastic is moving upwards. So I'm gonna try and get the screws in now. I'm not liking this. Making a mess. Maybe I should try and go backwards some. Last thing I want to do is shoot a screw through the roof. So let's try. Let's see if I can get it. Fun. Arg! Are you making fun of me? You're awfully quiet over there. Let's see. I'm gonna try and get the wires, screws back a little further. Let's try it again. Ooh, there we go. Got one in. Two. Okay. Now that piece is in there. Okay, so now I'm gonna get the front piece, which I think the screws have to go up pretty far because there's an open air gap here. Let's see if we can hit some up here. Try out on the edge, maybe. There we go. I got one out on the edge. I do the same thing over here on the edge. See if we can get it. There we go. Okay. So all right. It's not perfect, but they're holding now. Got the wires. I can get them plugged in. This, like I said, this is really a useless wire here. Video wire. I don't do anything. Shove them up in. Out of the way. Now this is all the wire for the power and everything else, and I'm just gonna snap it in. There, okay, so that's clicked in. So now, kind of get all the wires up in underneath of it. All right, so get the position figured out. Much longer screw. So first 2 screws are in the wood. It seems to be holding it much nicer than sticking in the foam. Trying to see if it's straight. Okay, so get the screwdriver and finish screwing it in. Now this is where you can see what had happened here is the original screen was much larger. You can see the big open gap here in the front, and since I had bought new floor mats for the whole vehicle, this was the closest thing that matched. It's actually a scrap out of my floor mats for the car. You know, I'm sure you could use just about anything up here. You know, I mean, you could dress it up a little piece of diamond plate, whatever, you know. So what I did is I cut the arch and I just kind of shove it in underneath to hide this little gap. So, and then once it's just kind of up in there, hiding that gap, just finish tightening the screws up, and that'll hold that in there nice and tight. You know, as long as one of the kids doesn't pull this out, it's in there pretty good. So that's it. Now you're not pulling this off the ceiling. So DVD player is installed. I already got power hooked to it. And how do we turn this thing on? Oh, you know what? I have to have the key on, I guess. Let me see. I'm gonna turn the key on. We'll test it. Okay, get the power light. There we go. Ah, we got some sponge job going on. Let's see.
Sandy? What's up, Sandy? No thanks. Boy, there's nothing like going silly fishing.
Not too bad. One DVD player installed.
Look, Sandy, we got one. Listen, SpongeBob, right now, I don't want to build sandcastles, play karate, or eat jellyfish. We don't eat them. We let them go.
All right.
Have apart from the law.
Not too bad.
This is the power of
Another job done.
Now,
All right, so you can see the position of it and the location of it on the ceiling, and how the little filler piece fills it nicely up there. You can't even tell. You know, it looks like it was a factory installation. You know, it's the, you know, don't mind my dirty floor mats, but that was just a scrap piece out of the floor mats that matched. So, you know, I bought Husky floor mats for this, and it was a piece that came out of the back section. There was an extra piece, though. You know, it's a pretty simple installation. You know, and get yourself a larger screen that the kids can enjoy in the back. You know, that's pretty much it. All right, one of the features this has is this here, on, off, auto. You want interior lights, you turn it on, or you can have it on auto. And auto, let me pause it for a second. And what auto is you see the interior lights. It, of course, doesn't do it from where I'm at. Oh, hit lock. It turns on and off with the key, doors, etc. So the only thing is I'll probably leave it off for now, because I'm going to end up updating the bulbs in the car to LED, because this is LED, which is a different color. Kind of can't really tell, but you can tell here to here there's like a blue to a regular incandescent bulb. So I'll change all the bulbs inside to match this, but for now I'll just leave this off. Okay, that's it. Are you filming?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so my assistant Angelina is helping me film this video here. So it's not a particularly hard job. I took, you know, out the original DVD, the original VHS player, and I put in a newer, color matching, kind of the same system, but it's a DVD player. It's got USB support, and they got the memory card slot, so you can play videos and movies and stuff from that. You know, so I spent 99 bucks. I think it's, to buy that brand new, it's $250. So I got lucky. You know, I was planning on chopping wiring and stuff like that to make it work, but I lucked out, and the Navigator wiring harness is the same wiring harness that's in the 2000 Ford Excursion. So I just had to switch 2 wires in the actual wiring diagram, so all the wiring was correct, and that's pretty much it. And like I said, I saved this little piece. It doesn't look bad up there. You know, you can see the little scrap I put up there to finish off that hole, because it's obviously a different size. It's plenty wide, but it's not long enough. What was originally up there was, you know, considerably longer. So the other one comes out with just a couple screws, and you just unplug it, and then take the new one and you put it up in there. And like I recommend, you know, some short screws, get it into the plastic that's above it. But you don't want to have long screws. You don't want to put screws right out through the top of your roof. So you get that fixed, and get yourself a, you know, a DVD player. Update your vehicle if you can, you know. And I hope this helps you. So, you know, like, subscribe, share. You never know what I'm going to do next.